One of the worst things in the world is waking up to find out that you've sold the same piece of your product twice, and that's what happens when you don't manage your inventory between all the shops you sell on online. That's why in this video today, I'm going to share with you the top 4 best inventory management software you can start using. Hi, my name is May Pak, and I help makers, artists, and designers make a living selling their handmade products online. If you're a handmade business selling on multiple platforms at once, like Etsy and Shopify and Amazon, and maybe you also do craft shows, then managing your inventory is definitely one of the biggest fiascos, and it is absolutely crucial to have a clear system, okay? Because you definitely don't want to oversell on your products, right? And the more time your items take to make, or the more unique your items are, the bigger of a disaster, right? For example, if you make paintings that are completely one of a kind, or if you make an item that takes you 10 hours to craft, and then one morning you wake up and see that you've sold 2 of them, and say your policies say you'll ship within a day or 2, so you don't have the time to make another of that product to ship it out on time. This is just a huge problem, right? So let's talk about how you would manage your inventory. When I was starting out, I tried a lot of different systems, and I'm not gonna lie, I love a cheap solution. I'm all about scrapping together something that works, and I've seen every kind of solution keeping separate inventory for your Etsy shop and your Shopify shop, like making spreadsheets. And these systems can work, but there's a couple of problems. As soon as you start making more sales, they'll start falling apart. When you make one sale from Etsy, you have to then run over and take it out of your spreadsheet or move some inventory around. And depending on the kind of businesses you've run, it may not even be possible. So if you make, as I said earlier, an item that takes a large amount of time to create, you may not necessarily have multiple copies of that product. You can have a separate inventory in each shop. And so if you're looking for a more hands-off approach and one that's able to scale up, you're going to need to bring in some software. You might be wondering, what's the big deal? If I just have my items up on Shopify and Etsy, I'm only making a few sales a week, I'm sure I'm not going to oversell anything. Well, it's possible to just run your shop, risking that you sell something double and assuming it's not going to happen, but it's really not a good business practice. Because first of all, if you get caught doing it, you can run into some really bad customer service situations, right? So if you sold out of a product and you want to go make another, but you've run out of a particular material to make that product, and it's going to take 2 weeks for you to get that material in your mailbox, now you're breaking a promise that you've made to a customer because you're shipping their order later than they expected, and that's a really bad situation. And secondly, you should always be hoping for more sales, right? So, what if an influencer links to your shop or tells her followers about you? Or what if you're featured somewhere in a magazine or like a blog, and now you're getting slammed with sales? That's where you're really going to find out that these ad hoc approaches don't work out. So I recommend you build out your systems for success and for scaling up. And it takes a little more expense, but I'm going to walk you through your software options because it's worth having a truly synced Etsy and Shopify inventory. I'm going to go through 4 different softwares that I recommend or that come recommended by other people in our Creative Hive community that you might want to look into. So our very first software recommendation is Syncr. Syncr, S-Y-N-C-R, is a Shopify app that integrates with Etsy, and it keeps both of your shops in sync by automatically detecting and syncing stock level changes. And this is how it works for every software recommendation I'm going to give you, is say an item sold in your Etsy shop. It will know to deduct the quantity of your inventory by 1 and have that reflect in your Shopify store as well. And the way the software knows whether 2 separate listings on your Etsy and Shopify store are actually the same item is you give it the same SKU, which can be anything you want. Like for me and my SKU formatting, I use something simple like neck-123. So if I want the software to link two separate listings and treat that as really just one design that both share the same inventory, I just give both listings from my separate shops the same SKU. Syncer is a very affordable option starting at only $9 a month, but it's also one of the more basic softwares. If you need something that has more features, stay on to watch the rest of this video. Number 2, we have Trunk. Trunk. Trunk is another Shopify app that's very similar to Syncer. The main difference is Trunk can also sync with other platforms. So it syncs with Etsy, Amazon, Shopify, eBay, Faire if you do wholesale, Square, and Squarespace. So if you sell on more than just Etsy and Shopify, then you might want to check this out. Also, it can manage the bundling and kitting of goods together, which I don't think Syncer can do. So for example, let's say you sell soaps and you make a cinnamon soap, a goat milk soap, and an Earl Grey soap. And now let's say you have 10 of each of those designs or separate products. Great, okay, you have 30 soaps in inventory, right? Now, if you want to sell a gift bundle of each of those 3 flavors of soap or scents of soap, you're in an inventory pickle, right? Because you list an Etsy listing that's a bundle that uses one of each soap. Now you're in the situation where you have one bundle and you have to decrease your other soap inventories to 9 pieces because the bundle is accounting for one of each soap, right? But really it's the same bars of soap sitting there on your shelf. You still physically have 10 pieces of soap each. Now, let's say you sold your bundle and now it looks like you've sold out on bundles. Well, that's not really true because you still have 9 soaps of each type sitting on your shelf. So you actually need to just move that inventory over to your bundle listing. So you can see how this could be a problem depending on what types of products you sell. For example, at Tiny Hands, I sell a create your own charm bracelet. You can choose your own charms and you can pick between 3 to 5 charms for your bracelet. This listing itself is really just an empty shell that doesn't really have any inventory. But then if someone chooses that they want a cupcake charm, a cookie, and a waffle charm for their bracelet, my inventory management system needs to know to deduct one of each my cupcake, cookie, and waffle charms. Do you see how that works? And so Trunk is designed to manage kitting and bundling as well as syncing inventory between Etsy and Shopify. Trunk is $29 a month at the time of the recording and offers a 14-day free trial. Number 3, we have Crafty Base. Crafty Base is actually both an inventory and bookkeeping system that integrates with Etsy and Shopify and WooCommerce. So Crafty Base is specifically designed for handmade sellers. And what's nice about it is it allows you to keep track of your materials in addition to completed inventory items. So I can say for me, making scented necklaces, the chains and charms, I keep as separate items, right? So if you buy just a charm, I don't need to remove a necklace chain from my inventory. But if you buy a charm necklace, then you can deduct the inventory on both the charm and the chain. And so keeping track of those raw materials might be an important step in keeping track of your entire business. If you make items that are composed of a lot of different pieces, you can then keep those pieces in inventory as well. So for me, I could even put in my polymer clay colors in inventory as a raw product and then keep track of how I'm using them up as I go. So when I run out of a particular material, I'll know I can no longer sell the products that use that material, and I'll be notified to go order more of that material. So that's a more advanced type of inventory management software. It also allows you to do accounting, so you can calculate the cost of goods sold and other fancy pricing things like that. So the software is obviously designed for more than just the simple inventory management like we were talking about. Personally, I don't need that granular level of tracking, but I do have very specific needs of linking products together by SKUs, and that's not something every software does. So you should explore whether you would use these other functionalities before deciding whether it's the right one for you. But if these jive with what works for your business, then this could be a really good solution. Crafty Base charges a monthly fee starting at $9 a month, but it goes up from there based on what different features you're getting. Number 4, Sellbrite. Sellbrite is software that integrates with a lot of other platforms as well, like Etsy, Amazon, Shopify, eBay, WooCommerce, and a lot more. What makes Sellbrite different from the other recommendations is Sellbrite also comes with shipping features, so you can ship orders and buy postage directly from the software. I've tested this briefly myself, but they don't have the bundling and kitting features, which are really important to me, so I can't use it. But it is a nice all-in-one software if you want to have just one consolidated place to check inventory and do shipping all in one. So obviously when you sell an item, you now have to ship it, which for a lot of us means some other kind of third-party kind of app, like with using Indicia or Pirate Ship or ShipStation. There are lots of other shipping softwares out there, and depending on how many orders you ship, they usually charge a monthly fee for it as well. So Sellbrite allows you to do the inventory management, buy postage, and ship orders. As of this recording, they have a free plan that can support you up to 30 orders a month. If you ship more than that, then it starts at $19 a month, which might be a better solution for you if you have to count together both the cost of inventory management software and shipping software. There are other softwares out there like Ecom-Dash, Veeqo, that's Veeqo, Finale Inventory, TradeGecko, Multi-Orders, and Ordoro. But the reason I'm not spending a whole lot of time on these is because they're super expensive. For example, I've been using Ordoro for about 3 years now, and they do both inventory management and shipping in one as well, like Sellbrite. And the reason I use Ordoro is because they link SKUs together very well, and they also do bundling and kitting, which are both very important features for me. But I pay $300 a month, and that's at a grandfather price point. Now, they just emailed me a few months ago saying they need to start charging me now what they charge everyone else, which is $500 a month. And I just don't think it's worth that much at that point. So I'm actually going back to the basics and just hiring a programmer to code up for me some automations. It costs a few $100s up front, but that way I don't have to pay a recurring fee every month. And for shipping orders, I'm going to go back to using good old ShipStation, which was what I was using before Ordoro, and I really loved using that. So as your business grows, you will likely be paying more to help manage the admin side of your business. But there will sometimes come a point where you'll want to cut on costs, and in my case, it just didn't make sense anymore to pay $500 for something that I could do for a tenth of the price with my own custom solution. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment if you have any questions, and if you have any suggestions of software you've tried before that you really like, let me know in the comments. Subscribe to my channel for more handmade business tips, and stay on to watch this next video on the screen.